Hello. All right. We are live. Welcome to the video. In this video, we are going to be talking about the captured U.S. soldier, Travis King, who willingly defected into North Korea. Now, Travis King may become the next big superstar within North Korea based off of what North Korea is saying, based off of their presentation of why Travis King defected into North Korea. A lot of things are starting to add up, and a lot of things are not looking good for Travis King. If you're just joining and you are in the live stream portion, this video will be posted. If you want to leave your comments there, I read them all. And okay, so let's go ahead and watch this clip right here from Reuters just to give us the basic rundown of what North Korea is saying, what the Pentagon is saying, and I'm just going to say this straight up. Everything that North Korea is saying, that Travis King is saying, is most likely not true. And we're going to take it with a grain of salt, and we're going to look at some of the hypocrisies that North Korea is saying. It's very easy to find out that North Korea most likely is just making all of this up. So let's go ahead and watch this clip, and we'll start to break down some of the issues here with the North Korean comments.
North Korea says Travis King, the U.S. Army private who dashed across the border from South Korea last month, wants refuge from racism and mistreatment in the U.S., either in the North or in another country.
Okay, first important point, and this is what many people dispute, that Travis King went to North Korea to seek refuge to escape racism. And also they cite a third country. We'll talk about that here soon. Not specifically they name a third country, but North Korea says Travis King potentially may have wanted to go to a third country. We'll get into that here in a bit.
This is the first time Pyongyang has publicly confirmed King crossed over the heavily guarded demilitarized zone on July 17th. The North's official state news agency, KCNA, posted on its website that during an investigation, quote, Travis King confessed that he had decided to come over to the DPRK as he harbored ill feeling against inhumane maltreatment and racial discrimination within the U.S. Army.
Okay, I want you guys to remember that, and let me know if the stream is going slow. Again, I'm kind of new to this and using a different software. So the thing that also many people are disputing is right here, the inhumane maltreatment and the racial discrimination within the U.S. Army. Now, here very soon, we're going to actually get into why North Korea might be a little hypocritical here and why I think they're totally making this up. But at the same time, there's also some evidence that North Korea may have dug into as to why they are saying this. Again, we will get into all of that. So try to remember this information.
Discrimination within the U.S. Army. He also expressed his willingness to seek refuge in the DPRK or a third country, saying that he felt disillusioned with the unequal American society. DPRK stands for the North's official name, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. KCNA also said King was kept under control by soldiers in North Korea and that the investigation they mentioned is still active.
That's right, still active.
U.S. officials believe King crossed the border intentionally while on a civilian tour of the joint security area between the two Koreas and have declined so far to call him a prisoner of war.
Okay, and again, another massive part of the story, and many people know this, the U.S. military will not call him a prisoner of war since he willingly ran away into North Korea. Okay. Let's go ahead and start to dig into why there might be some hypocrisy here, and we will also dig into why I think Mr. Travis King is going to be the next superstar within North Korea, because they're trying to paint this picture of North Korea being this welcoming nation and how we captured Travis, and Travis is saying, gosh, the United States is very racist and the U.S. military, very racist. Okay. Let's go ahead and back it up to 2020. When the whole George Floyd, the protests were happening, North Korea was actually chiming in and was saying, I don't know if you guys can see this, North Korea calls U.S. country of extreme racist after the George Floyd protests. So North Korea does have a history of chiming in whenever they seem fit to sort of push this narrative of the United States as a very racist nation. Also, let's bring it back to 2014. Let's go ahead and see what they said about Mr. President Obama. Again, I'm trying to show you guys that North Korea loves to paint this picture of the United States as racist, and now that Travis King is here, a black U.S. Army soldier, we are welcoming and blah, blah, blah. So, this is what North Korea said about President Obama. They published an article back in 2014, And the article was titled Divine Retribution for the Juvenile Delinquent Obama. President Obama was referred to as a clown and a dirty fellow. Okay. And so North Korea, for some reason, thinks we don't have receipts of how hypocritical they are and acting like, oh, the U.S. military in the United States, boy, are they racist. When we have clear receipts, when you call a U.S. president a clown and a dirty fellow and a crossbreed with unclear blood, I'm not saying this for context. North Korea is saying this. Okay? So let's not paint this picture over here that Travis King is the one who is saying this. This is North Korea. Now, let's go ahead and dig into, though, there might be some truth into the aspect where potentially, possibly, U.S. Army soldiers might feel that there is a bit of contention within the ranks. Let me try to move myself on this side here. Again, I'm doing this live. I'm getting used to this live stream. The title of this article from military.com, military service members of color are turning down assignments because of concerns about racism. Okay. So this is back in 2022, so this is not that old here, people. Okay. 42% of service members of color in a new survey turned down an assignment of permanent change of station order because of concerns about racism and discrimination, even when they knew doing so could negatively affect their career because of perceptions of racism in the local community. So again, I think North Korea, what they're doing is they do have some sort of like information where they're seeing, hey, you know what? There is discrimination in the U.S. Army. Maybe they're finding polls. These guys are not stupid. They're digging into, and they're really good at turning a narrative in their favor, especially for their own people, because their own people don't know better. They're not, the North Korean people are not going to military.com and looking up these stats. Nonetheless, we could assume that North Korea, they are doing their research, and they may know that there is some sort of friction within the U.S. military ranks. Another interesting stat here from the poll, about 33% of active duty families and 34% of veterans in the survey also reported that concerns about racial and ethnic discrimination were a factor in conversations with family members about whether to stay in the military. So again, whether it's 1%, 42%, there's still a percentage out there. And if you can turn the narrative in your favor to show, look, this guy ran away into our country and the whole world hates our country. Does it make sense that a U.S. Army soldier who's black is now running into our country? Look at him. He's coming here for safe haven, okay? Now, one piece of evidence we do have as to why North Korea may turn Travis King into like a showpiece and into like a propaganda tool. Again, let me move myself here so you guys can read the title. Trying to do this live. I'm really tiny now, I think. 50 years later, the USS Pueblo on display as a North Korean prize. Now, for those of you who don't know, there's something out there called the USS Pueblo, which is like the holy grail for North Korean propaganda. Let's go ahead and read into this so you guys can get some context as to why Travis King might be the new living holy grail. 50 years later, and this is published in 2019, so you guys do the math. 50 years after it was seized by North Korea, the USS Pueblo is the only U.S. Navy ship held captive by a foreign government. And though mostly forgotten in the United States, the Pueblo incident for North Korea remains a potent symbol of military success. So again, put yourselves into the context and the lives of North Koreans who see this ship from 50 years ago, 50 years plus ago, as like the biggest win ever. North Korea, we have this ship. It's now a museum piece. People can go and see this ship, and this is a massive trophy for the North Koreans. Now, think about this. Now we have a living U.S. Army soldier, and North Korea always paints the U.S. military and the United States as a bunch of racists. Now we have somebody in the flesh here who's willing to be here. And again, whatever North Korea says, that's what the people of North Korea have to believe. Let's sort of read a little bit more here. The spy ship, attacked and captured 50 years ago this week, sits in the frozen Potang River on the edge of the sprawling, this is the name of the museum, the Victorious Fatherland Liberation War Museum. Okay? Talk about a pretentious name for a museum. Could you imagine in the United States we had something called the Victorious Fatherland Liberation War Museum? complex in Pyongyang, where thousands of North Koreans were brought each day to hear the North's version of how their country, against all odds, defeated the Americans in the 1950-53 Korean War, and has been fighting off hostile Goliath ever since. Okay? So again, they see the United States as a Goliath, which is a biblical figure, a giant, somebody that you're not supposed to beat. Unironically, that was also the name of my unit in the U.S. Army, Goliath. Shout out Bravo Company. So again, I'm trying to paint this picture of if a U.S. warship that's still in commission today, technically, is a new museum piece in the Victorious whatever museum, it's probably not good news for Travis King. Now, something else I wanted to dig into, because there were people out there who were saying there might be, can he escape? Can Travis King escape? What is this third country that we are hearing about? Well, the first things first, when I was doing some research, and again, I'm only using Wikipedia because it's the easiest to display for you guys. There's somebody out there called Shin Dong-hyuk, or Hyuk. He's the only North Korean. He claims to be the only prisoner to have successfully escaped from a total control zone. Okay, so out of every single prisoner who's ever escaped from North Korea who was 100% legit in total confinement, this is the only one. And when you look into the story of what it took for him to escape, there's no way in heck Travis King is pulling this off. I'm sorry. If he does, Shin decided to attempt to escape with Park. It was another person where these two were collaborating and they were going to try escaping North Korea in this prison camp. They formed a plan in which Shin would provide local information about the camp, while Park would use his knowledge outside the camp to escape the country. The pair was assigned to work detail near the camp's electric fence. Eventually, what ended up happening, Shin got out of there because his counterpart passed away while touching the electric fence, and Shin used his body to cross the fence. All right, we're talking a very drastic measure and means to escape a country that is in total control of you. Now, what's crazy about this escape and why I'm even entertaining this thought is because North Korea is saying, well, there's a third country potentially that Travis was trying to get to. We don't know what it is, and they didn't say what it was. But in this particular escape and most escapes, North Koreans have to go to China. Okay, they have to go to China. This is typically the route that almost every North Korean has to take. And again, there is a common language here. So North Koreans are trying to get back into South Korea to at least be with their families. Sometimes you see North Koreans, all over the world, but for the most part, they try to go back to South Korea. And the general means of escape is escape North Korea from the north, because there's no way in heck you're crossing the DMZ from the south. It's like impossible. Unless you're Travis King, who somehow just hopped the border. You have to go from China down to Myanmar, Thailand, then to Vietnam, possibly Cambodia, or catch a flight all the way up into South Korea. That is the means that most people are trying to get back into South Korea or to escape North Korea. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, there was some speculation and deliberation that people are saying this third country potentially might be China, because North Korea and China, they do have working relationships and ties. But again, the only reason why I'm even entertaining this thought is because if there was an ounce or a chance for Travis to escape North Korea, the only way possible would have to be through China. That is how everyone does it. And it's typically usually done through a Christian ministry, is usually the number one way people get out of there. Or you try to bribe the border crossing up in North Korea. A lot of these guards just hate their life. Actually, this is how this guy right here, Shin Dong-hyuk, he managed to bribe a border guard with some rice. So imagine you betray your country for a bag of rice. Okay, that's what we're talking about here in North Korea. So Travis King, in my opinion, is going to be the next superstar in North Korea, and I say that in a not so much joking tone, but also at the same time a very scary tone, because this is probably the reality for someone where if if North Korea is willing to hype up a ship that was captured in the 50s and proclaim that they beat the United States and South Korea, not good. Now, I see somebody had mentioned Dennis Rodman, which is a very interesting point. For those of you who don't know, and you can go look up this documentary, Dennis Rodman somehow managed to bring the United States and North Korea closer together because of the love of basketball for North Korea. So I know that's pretty wild for me to entertain, but at this point, if someone like Dennis Rodman was able to befriend the leader of North Korea and get into North Korea, at this point, I think anything goes. I don't think Travis King will be able to escape. I was just pointing out the fact that this third country, if it is China, his only means of getting out would be him being in China. So, somebody asked me, do you think he will be forced into some kind of propaganda film or something? Maybe the North Koreans will force him to recite propaganda. Historically speaking, yes, I do think he will be forced or pushed into some sort of propaganda role. Now, the word propaganda, I hate using that word, but in this context, it's absolutely accurate and correct. Because whenever we use the word propaganda, it's typically just overblown and overgeneralized. But to be fair, for other U.S. military troops who have defected into North Korea, the same exact fate was used on them. This particular case is only unique because the fact that North Korea brought racism into it and said Travis King said that, not us, and then I showed you at the beginning of the stream, which I'll post this and you can see this, North Korea has been known to always hate on the United States for quote-unquote racism. They always say that. They always play that card. Meanwhile, they call President Obama a clown and some other very bad slurs that I had mentioned in the video. So anyway, I'm going to be posting this live stream. If you're live, make sure to go comment on it. In my opinion, again, Travis King is going to be a superstar. The Pentagon has been very quiet on this entire situation. I think they're trying to figure out what they need to do to get him back. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not even about to speculate that. I am waiting for the Pentagon to actually say something about it, other than the very diplomatic, we're doing everything we can. Well, they're going to have to do a lot, in my opinion. Okay. I will see you all later. Thank you for being here. Make sure to go comment and like the actual video. It helps out a lot. I'm about to post this. Love all you guys, and thank you.